man. How can I invite people? Anyways, man, welcome to a new life. I don't know how to invite people though, you know? I was looking on how to invite people. Should we wear some glasses or something? Because I feel like, my vision before everything else. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is like, rational, right? If you care about your vision, I mean, wear the glasses, right? Anyway, so what I'm gonna say is this. To be honest, I wanted to make a video, not to make a live, but it's the same. We're gonna make a live, we're gonna make a video because I want to practice my English. I want to be fluent. I want to be able to speak about what I want to speak about. You get what I'm saying? And I've been encouraged to pursue philosophy, because I always had like a baseline analytical ability, though not as good as now, but I always had it. And I feel like if I don't work on it, then it's probably like a wasted potential. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I'm trying to improve myself. I'm trying to improve my skills. I'm trying to chase my goals. Eliminate addictions. Too many things, right? Always seeking improvement, though not always acting towards it. I mean, when you're really analytical, you tend to there are many people who are analytical, though. There is a difference between overthinking and being analytical. Analytical people could include mathematicians. They could include philosophers. Also overthinkers, though overthinking is the problem. Because when I say overthinking, I mean lots of thinking that doesn't lead anywhere, right? You're just thinking about events. You're just thinking about stupid events. You overanalyzing those events, right? I mean, in a sense, yes, you understand the situation, but it's like you keep thinking about them too much that you can't get rid of them, right? So you get back to them each time you think about them. Each time, you rage or react according to those events, like the emotional trigger. Like each time, you overreact, emotionally to these events upon remembering them. The pattern is strengthened, and it becomes harder, and it becomes harder and harder to not think about them, right? So this is the problem. Anyways, man, this is really tough, man. I don't know what to do, man. Because I have these obsessive thought loops myself. You see, I'm trying to combine between philosophy and psychology because they go hand in hand. Psychology is about understanding. I want to be good at psychology because I tend to analyze people's behavior a lot, right? And I want to have a better understanding. I'm working on the analysis. I want to have a better understanding, right? To how people might act a certain way in certain contexts. Not to just have a shallow view, like this person is this person is that. So I'm trying to improve my knowledge in psychology to understand people better, right? In terms of the interactions, it's gonna help me interact with them the way I want it. It's gonna help me in my strategic approach. Whereas with the philosophy, it's about improving my analytical ability and my critical thinking skills, which are necessary, right? Because I really need them, to. I'm really interested in improving my critical thinking, my analysis level, because these two things they transition to other areas. For example, even if I were to be interested about physics, chemistry, or something else like religion, these skills gonna transition. The skills of questioning, the skills of spotting hidden assumptions in people's arguments. The skills of what can I say? Of analyzing, yeah, spotting hidden assumptions, arguments, coming up with your own views about something. Just from like seeing other people's views, like deriving, like trying to critique them and formulating your own views without having any prior knowledge. Now, this is what I'm trying to develop. Now, the problem is that where I'm at, like the environment doesn't really allow. Like, yeah, there is partially there is procrastination. There is, like lack of discipline. Yeah, self-control. This is from one side, but from another side, yes, there is always not the right like the reason I don't have the right environment to thrive. I don't have the privacy. I can't talk and do what I want. I can't strive to be the best. Like I mean, yeah, like the environment, like there's always privacy. There is always like family people watching. They ain't doing nothing, contributing to my development. They just like obstructing me, man. Like this is really annoying when someone is doing nothing but telling you to shut up, telling you to do this. It's really annoying. You get the idea. You feel like you're in a cage or something, right? You feel like you are caged, like there is no escape, like there is no. I don't know how to put it into words, but you get the idea because I always felt the same way about school. Like when you enter the classroom, like there is no way out. So I feel caged in a sense, just like the bird when you cage a bird. And the moment like you open the cage, it flies and probably never returns a lot of the times because it wants freedom, right? Birds want freedom, just like me, man. I don't want to learn. Yeah, I want to learn, but like the space is giving me those vibes, like these prison vibes. Also, the fact that you are constrained when you learn in school. You are constrained to the program. You are constrained to what the teacher is communicating. I mean, some teachers won't even allow you to ask questions that they're deep. They're gonna say, why are you asking that much? And I don't think they're qualified enough, to answer them in the first place. Yeah, so this is really a problem. I'm seeking a more of an approach. Like my approach is more about exchanging ideas. It's more about discussing. It's more about getting into like it's more having friction with the other person, right? They're telling me their views. I'm telling them my views, and we are discussing. We try to critique other people's views. I could change my views if I see a problem with them. Because each time, like every time, like I have an argument, I tend to think afterwards about what I said, about what the opponent said. I'm like, I could have been wrong. It could have been this. It could have been that. So it's like I'm always open to revision, right? Yeah, this is the thing about me. I'm always open to revision. And if I see that my view is too weak, like my arguments are too weak, like my view like is not really like it doesn't really hold up in the face of critique, then I might change it. But when you're like with intellectuals, I'm not talking about myself as an intellectual, though I'm striving to be. They don't really change their opinions that easily, right? So they need strong evidence, like they need a lot of criteria. I mean, that could be good in the sense of not be easily fooled, not easily manipulated, right? But it can also be a problem because even if you see the truth, you might stick to your wrongness because you rely on whether you realize it's the truth or not whether on it's like if you don't realize, then it's a problem. So you gotta always like try to examine your own beliefs, what the other person said. They could be right? So there is always a chance to try to examine, try to analyze. Then if you see that they are right, after a lot of research, then you could change your view. So it doesn't have to be absolute. We're not talking about certainty, just something that is probabilistically more probable, right? So that is more likely. You see that their views are more likely concerning the topic, like they make more sense. That's what I meant. They make more sense. Anyway, so this is what I'm concerned about at the moment: philosophy, psychology. I'm concerned about a lot of things: physics, nutrition. What can I say? Science. Politics, I'm concerned about all of these. A lot and a lot more, right? So programming, a lot of these. But I see the basis as being psychology and philosophy. I don't know if y'all agree with this, but I see them as the basis. What do y'all think? I don't know, man. I hate being forced in these situations, man. Like, anyways, a lot of people don't understand. Like, they tend to judge behavior externally based on the outside, but you can't really know someone based on the external. You have to have a complete idea about the internal, but this is not possible. So you're operating, even if you did a diagnosis, right? So you would need authenticity. You would need to know everything because people could tell you something that they don't want to, that is not the truth. They could lie, they could do all this and that. So it's not always reliable. Asking, trying to get information from other people is not always reliable. And you can't really know everything with diagnosis, right? Because that would require asking, right? So there's not always authenticity. And most people, like there are a lot of people, they don't even know what is like the problems, their own problems. So you're operating with incomplete information. You can't really make judgments. Though you can study like though personality is studied, like for example, you can say that this person is shy in most contexts. With certain specific people like unfamiliar people. You could make these statements, but it's not like a general rule, right? Because it depends on the context, it depends on the person's mood, the like how they feeling at the moment, they are busy or not. So a lot of with how they're talking. So the shyness depends on this as well. And people tend to confuse also with high inhibition and low inhibition. High inhibition specifically in this case, inhibition is when someone tends to think about the consequences of something before doing it. So you might confuse someone who's shy with someone who's high inhibition, but it's not the same. Shyness, as I said, according to the dictionary, is about being uncomfortable, awkward in most situations with unfamiliar people. Though this definition itself is not precise, I would say, because of the high inhibition factor. Someone could be the same, right? But due to evaluating consequences, they judge people, right, based on their facial expressions, for example, based on they perceive their behavior with others. So they make an image about them, so they develop an image about them. Though this image could be highly inaccurate, so it's based on, so it's a hasty judgment based on a few number of cues. It could be highly inaccurate, right? But it served as evolutionary as a way to make quick judgments, right? To avoid what can I say? Like people didn't have time to analyze other people, so they needed to make quick judgments, and this was a way of filtering, right? Facial beauty, expressions, and all of that, behavioral perception. These are ways of filtering. They could be highly inaccurate. So going back to the idea, yeah, people tend to confuse between high inhibition and shy. The real question is not whether someone is uncomfortable in most situations with unfamiliar people. The real question, in my opinion, if that people is getting given ideal conditions, familiar people, convenient context, good mood, what I'm saying, non-busyness, like being in right? So can that person engage with the person if he wants to or not? Because this is where the difference is, in my opinion. So it's about, if you want to engage, can you engage? Because I can do that, but I choose not to. Like similar to many high inhibition people, I choose not to because of the potential consequences. Because I tend to evaluate the potential consequences. I don't want conflict, so it's about perceived behavior, it's about expressions and this and that. Yes, there are quick judgments. Yes, they can be highly inaccurate, but it serves as a way of filtering, right? In convenient contexts, with people who I perceive as safe, as non-threatening, I don't see a potential conflict with them. I don't like conflicts because they like they trigger these strong emotional reactions within me, like I don't feel good at all, so they harm me psychologically, right? So I don't want this. I don't want negativity. That's the reasoning as to why I avoid these type of people who I make judgments about, who I perceive to be like a potential threats, right? I avoid dealing with them at all. Unless it's necessary, then it's a different story. Anyways, I can deal with them if I want to, but I choose not to. But there are people who, even if they with familiar people, let's say family members, in convenient contexts like a home and this and that, maybe some a visit from a family member, you would see that they are not open, even though these family members they are welcoming, you know, you would see that they aren't open, so to tell them what they want to say, like they are not engaging, even if they willing to engage, they don't engage. You would see this holding back, so when someone wants to engage with people who he perceived as safe, but can't do that is the problem. That's what could indicate shyness. Anyway, so this is just my analysis about philosophy. I see myself as strong, particularly in the reasoning aspect, in the analytical aspect, but not necessarily in the knowledge aspect. I don't have a structured knowledge. I jump straight to what interests me. I don't have like an academic formation, right? So I don't require, like, I don't have the basics. I don't have like a gradual learning path, like from the easy, easy, normal, hard, and hard, like something like that, like a gradual learning path from the least complex to the most complex. You get what I'm saying? But I go straight for what interests me. Though this can create a problems, because if I usually jump to something that is complex, because that's usually what interests me for some reason. Complexity, though, in some areas, because in mathematics I don't really like the numbers. It requires a different type of reasoning, though it's similar to abstract reasoning, this numeric reasoning, though, but it's not really exactly the same. Because if you really were, then all the philosophers would be good at mathematics, right? And the reverse would be true, and the opposite would be true, but that's not what we see. I mean, I can calculate like quick, what can I say? Yeah, quick equations, like for example, 12, 12 times 65, so things like that. You get what I'm saying? 130, let's see, 780. You know, I can calculate things like that. But when it comes to to problems in math that require multiple step reasoning, a lot of numbers, they're complex, especially like with the high school program, like they introduce like these limits and all, like real numbers, this, that, like, you get what I'm saying? I can't keep up for some reason. Like, even though, yeah, back in high school, I didn't make them, but also, like, it was hard for me to understand, because my understanding threshold is higher than a lot of people. Like, I require full clarity. A lot of people, they don't require full clarity. They might have faster understanding, yeah, but they don't. You get what I'm saying? Not only clarity, but trying to explanation. Not just remembering at the moment, but in the long term, right? So having the memory of the explanation in the long term, having the knowledge in the long term. That's what I aim for. So for me, I prioritize clarity over depth, though they both matter. If we talk about depth, there is explanatory depth, right? Explanatory depth in the sense of detailed explanations. There is also explanatory causation. For example, like going in the causation chain. Earth orbits the sun because of this, and this happens because of this, until you get to the fundamental structure of the universe, like where the science is at. Yeah, so I prioritize clarity over depth, though they both matter. A lot of people they tend to think as of complexity as depth, but in reality, like depth is also associated with clarity. I mean, like aiming for complexity without depth is really like a bad approach in my opinion, because why would you want something more complex if you don't really understand it? Like if you don't really have a clear image of it just for the sake of discussing it, just for the sake of delving into it. This is how I see it. Anyways, man, overthinking too much, yeah, that's a problem because it doesn't really lead to any good results in the long term. But what I'm trying to do is this over is turn this overthinking that doesn't lead anywhere, right? So it's overthinking about people like that I seen in the street, for example, or random events like they don't really signify much to most people. They don't really mean much to most people. What I'm trying to do is that turn this overthinking into deep thinking, and that's what I'm trying to, and that's exactly what I'm doing lately. I'm trying to think about ideas, trying to analyze ideas, trying to come up with conclusions, trying to form my opinions. This is how I transform. I'm trying to transform this overthinking into deep thinking. I have like a good representation of a lot of things, like mental representation of a lot of things that concern me mentally, but with the expression, it's always less. It's always less, a bit less than the what can I say, the representation. I don't really express everything fully. And once I use language, there is compression, and there is compression, there is informational loss. Like if we talk about the information theory of Claude Shannon, right? Defined information as a reduction of uncertainty. Like when you express, information with knowledge or symbols, like there is a loss of information. So omniscience is not enough. Omniscience is enough in the sense of having a full complete mental representation of a specific topic. In the sense of representation, knowing everything that there is to know about this topic, about everything that relates to it. So you can talk about it, like for example, in maximum precision. Whereas with the expression, it's about like expressing that that representation without losing. It's about like raw, like expression of raw precision, maximum precision. No, we would need like a full capacity of expression to achieve that. Not necessarily omnipotence, but the capacity of expression, the perfect expression, to express anything, right? To express that perfect representation. Even though humans don't have a perfect representation in most cases. Unless we talk about something that is solved, like for example tic-tac-toe, a game that is solved mathematically, that humans can play perfectly, though not with perfect consistency, because then the biological constraints come into place, like fatigue, like mental fatigue, like loss of concentration, misclicks, right? But you get the idea. Like you can have like a perfect or near perfect representation, mental representation of the strategy, the theoretical perfect strategy. But with the expression of it, the biological constraints. Even the top, you have like a full mental representation, because at all times. Now this is a question, because you can have it maybe temporarily, but at all times you might forget about certain, what I'm saying, about certain things, like for example about certain possible positions. You might not talk about them, so it's not, so it's really, you might not have like a full like mental representation of the perfect strategy at all times. Think about it, because you might forget about a specific, like, board position, right? So there is this thing. In tic-tac-toe, there are 255,000, something like 146, something, I don't know exactly, but 255,000 possible gains. Though a lot of them are symmetrical, a lot of them they are the same, just like what can I say, symmetrical tic-tac-toe board and all this and that, symmetrical positions. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna say, man. Anyways, that's it for this video, man. I'm just trying to, anyway, this live, because I'm just trying to, like, communicate my thoughts on this and that. I see I have a good potential, but the environment does not allow it. Like, the environment that I'm in the third world country, like, they don't push, like, they don't help people who have talents. I don't have the right environment. I want to live independently so I can focus on myself. And I see that as a big step that would help me a lot, either in terms of having the privacy, so to like practicing speech, for example, or even learning other skills like cooking and this and that, because, like, right now, I'm dependent. Like, there is obstruction, yeah, in terms of expression, and there is also, like, if we talk about cooking, like this example, yeah, everything is always find, like, meals ready. So I'm not put into a position where I would cook myself. So that's the problem. Anyways, so I'm a philosopher in the making. I see myself as someone who has great potential, right? If exploited properly, like, if I'm really aiming to continue in this path, because a lot of people, like, they have hidden potentials, good potentials, but they never reach those potentials because they don't either, like, they either due to incapability, though this is rare, right? If you have realistic goals, this is rare, or either due to lack of effort, consistency, discipline, which is like hard work, or strategically, like they employ ineffective strategies, weak strategies. They don't adapt. They don't change strategies. They don't adapt strategies. Right. So they are. So this is smart work in a way. That concerns me specifically. But that's it about this live. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Peace.